Let's talk about Superstore 3000, a tile-laying game about building a mall in space. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. In this episode, we're going to talk about a game that's all about building a galactic super mall in the future. This is a game that was sent to me by the folks at Asmodee. It's a game called Superstore 3000. It's by Space Cowboys. It's a game for between 2 and 4 players. Kids aged 10 and up can figure out Superstore 3000, and games take anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes to play. Let's take a deeper look at Superstore 3000 by Space Cowboys. Don't let the light, silly art fool you on this one. This is a light game, but it is strategic. I was a little surprised, actually, because I opened the box and felt like, well, this is more of a game for kids. But I don't really think that's the case. Kids can figure this one out, but this is a pretty strategic tile drafting and tile laying game. What you're trying to do in Superstore 3000 is be the player who earns the most victory points at the end of the game. And how you earn those points is by placing groups of themed stores together, having the biggest clump of hobby stores or fashion stores or food court stores. You'll also earn points by having the most happy customers at the end of the game. And the customers are these little acrylic characters. They're all like space aliens, and one of them looked like the robot from the Jetsons, honestly, when I was looking through the characters in that little bag. There's aliens and there's a few people that look just like normal people who would visit a mall, but there's a pretty crazy assortment of characters here. How do you play this game? How do you build a mall that's going to earn you those victory points? In the middle of the table, you're going to have the store dispenser. That's where you're going to draft stores that are in 4 different categories. There's entrances, there's food court stores, there's hobby stores, libraries and gyms and things like that, theaters, and then there's fashion stores, barbershops and things like that. You'll have a certain number, depending on the player count, you'll have a number of docking bays as well. These, once you meet the requirements, you can place these in your mall to expand your base. Each player has their own little entrance here at the bottom, and this entrance only allows you to play to stack up your mall elements, your stores, in 2 columns. So you're going to have a very tall mall that's 2 columns high. Based on the player count, there's also going to be a certain number of these common attractions that you're all vying for. The players are competing to be the ones who place these in their mall. And they might have requirements like, oh, I've got to have a certain number of stores at a certain level, or have a certain number of stores in the same row. These attraction cards are double-sided, so you're going to flip them like a coin almost at the beginning to decide what the ultimate requirement is going to be. And the attractions do look pretty silly. There's some with dinosaurs. This one has a tornado with a cow and a witch flying around in there. The attractions are all about meeting the requirements and then being the one who's able to place them into their mall. So this one's going to be worth 8 victory points if I manage to fit it in somehow. But a lot of the points in this game are going to be from having the most of something. The largest group of stores, the largest clump in a particular color, the most satisfied customers is going to earn you the most points. So you're going through each color of store, except the entrances, which are just about bringing more customers in. You go through each color of store, you go through the number of happy customers that you've got, and I'll tell you what makes those customers happy, and then you're counting up the additional victory points from those attractions that you're adding to the mall by meeting those requirements. The game's going to end when you draw the last of the mall elements to put into the dispenser, or when the last of the common attractions is placed. So once there's no more of those to draw from, then you're going to start counting up some points. On your turn, you've got a choice between 2 actions. You can either take one of these stores from the dispenser. I'm going to pay $1 to take one on row 2, $2, $3. So it becomes more expensive if you want one of the higher, newer ones to come into your mall. But if I can grab one of these for free and stack that on top of my mall entrance, then everything's going to move down. That's going to get replaced from one of these stacks. I get to choose which stack I replace it from, and then the next player gets their turn. If you don't want to place a mall element, if you're looking at maybe getting some money because you might want to buy some of these later on, Well, then you can take one of these out. On the back of each of the mall elements, this is dollars that you're going to have. So I get a dollar by basically discarding this and making sure nobody else can grab it. But then I also look to see if there's any matching colors here. And in this case, there's two more. So I get two more dollars. Now, where does that come from? The money is in this little central area underneath the board, but you're only getting the money when players buy one of these higher level stores. So there's no money there right now. There's no point of me taking this green thing because I'm not going to be able to get other than just that $1. I might want to wait a little bit until there's some money in here. Oh, somebody chose to take, I want something from level 2. Now there's $2 in the middle of the table, and I can stack that up here and start building up my clump of blue stores. So there's a bit of a push and a pull where you can claim money from the center here, but only if there's money there, and the money gets placed there by other players who are buying these things that are higher up. So, like I said, you're thinking about creating the biggest clump of stores of the same color. You might be thinking of meeting the requirements to place these things too, and that requires you to play things out in a certain way. Sometimes you have to have different color stores in the same level. You're thinking about getting these customers to be happy to come into your mall. You want to get those docking bays so that you can spread things out over here. Those have different ways of earning you victory points. Sometimes the docking bays are just going to give you a flat number of points. This one that I grabbed here, and there's one of these for each color of mall element, you're going to get one victory point for each blue store that's stacked on top of it. So anything in that column is going to get you some extra victory points, plus there's a base of 2 victory points there. The brown ones often will have a customer that goes with it that's going to be happy if they get to go to a certain store. Now, how do you make those customers happy? Well, all of the entrances, the red building and the first entrance that you play, they show on their space the store that that character wants to go to. These customers can move only 3 tiles to get to their store where they're going to be happy, and if they don't have that place, then they're just going to sit there and be unsatisfied customers at the end of the game. Unsatisfied customers do not count, they're worth nothing at the end. So this person over here wants to go to a theater. I have placed a theater 1 space away, then I lay that customer down. Now that's a happy customer. So these give you another thing to think about. You want to have one of each or two of each, two of each color, so that you can spread out your mall and have a wider base to build and more options in terms of where you're going to place those customers and how are you going to create those big clumps of same colored stores. You're also wanting to be careful about placing stores in a way so that the customers can reach the store that they want to within those 3 moves. So I do need to have a yellow store and a green store somewhere close by, probably. That's another consideration. If you want to have the most happy customers, well, you have to place more entrances in your mall. So if I buy this red tile, I can put it anywhere along here. That's going to add 2 customers who are looking for a place to go. And that's the game. I'm taking a tile and placing it, or else I'm taking some money so that I can get one later. Maybe instead of placing a tile, once I've met the requirements, I'm placing one of these attractions on the board. And then once you get to the end game, you're just counting up who has the most satisfied customers, who has the biggest clumps of the stores in different colors, who has the most victory points from all of those attractions. And then the player with the most victory points has the best mall, and they're going to be the winner. What skills, though, are you working on when you play Superstore 3000? Well, this is a game where each player is building their puzzle. They've got a lot of things to take into account as they're building it. The clusters of same colors, the distance between the stores that you're placing and the customers who want to go there, the requirements for all of the attractions. So there's some juggling there that you're doing, but you really are building this puzzle. And what this is involving is it's a visual spatial reasoning activity. This is all about exercising your spatial skills. You're also trying to maximize those victory points and keeping an eye on other players' progress towards earning those attractions. So there is, I mean, you have to plan ahead to get those attractions. And if you see other players are going for them, then there's some time pressure there in order to, so that I meet the requirements before they do. There is some plan. There's the spatial organization of placing this stuff, but there's also planning ahead. There's also budgeting my money so that I can make sure I get. Oh, I really need to get a barber shop, and sometimes we'd find there's no barber shops coming up, and as soon as one did, another player would buy it, and then I couldn't get the one that I wanted, and my customer was stuck in the entryway. They never got to go into the mall. Um, you may want to save some money too. So you're budgeting. You're budgeting your actions. You're budgeting these tiles in terms of how you're going to organize and place them, um, all with the goal of being the first one to place those attractions so that you can have the most victory points and win the game. And whenever we're talking about planning ahead and budgeting, whenever we're thinking about steps to work towards a goal and trying to carry out those steps efficiently and effectively, those are examples of executive functioning skills, the skills and behaviors that you need to work toward a goal. And this is a game where you are thinking about those goals. And sometimes you have to abandon one just because you're not getting the right tiles or somebody else grabs the thing that you were working towards. Um, so you have to be flexible in your approach too. Final thoughts about Superstore 3000. Well, like I said at the beginning, I looked at these pieces and the artwork and I thought, oh, well, this is going to be a kid's game. But I didn't play it with any kids. It was grown-ups who were playing it. And we were all like, there's a little bit of analysis that was happening as we were playing. So I do like the artwork. I will say, I mean, the one thing maybe that is for kids is that the customers are so small, the art is so small that my old eyes really had to look closely at some of these pieces to see them. I really like these acrylic character, the customer pieces that are thick acrylic so that they can stand up and then they lie flat once they're satisfied. It makes it very easy to see what's happening. But these were cool, nice components to this game that seems simple, and the rules are simple, but it does have that strategy element to it. Plus, you're not using every attraction in every game, and each attraction has different requirements that it might require in order to earn it. There's some replayability here too. So you've got this cool kind of drafting machine here, the store dispenser that slides everything down and keeps your pieces organized very easily. I quite liked the money mechanic where there's nothing for you to claim until another player has bought something from higher up on the board, and you might be trying to be careful so that you don't put too much money in the pot that the next player can take. So that was a cool mechanic as well. So this is a game that has a lot going for it. I like the art, the science fiction style. I mean, I will say if there's a downside, it's a bit small for, like I said, for me to see without my glasses. It's hard for me to make this out. I do think it's also a game where you probably want to have more than just two players when you're playing Superstore 3000 because that keeps the drafting more dynamic and there's more competition for those different attractions. So it is a game that plays better maybe with three or four. Yeah, you don't want to spend forever waiting for your turn to come around, but there's only one action per turn, so your turns do go fairly quickly. You will, as the game progresses, though, find yourself really needing to think about what am I going to place and where in order to maximize the number of points that you're getting through satisfied customers and clusters of stores. It's a drafting game where each player is building their own tableau to earn those points. So the player interaction is limited to making sure there's not too much money in the pot for the next player, maybe taking the piece or the attraction that another player really wanted to get. So there's no direct way for me to influence my opponent's mall. And for some players, that's going to be a bit of a deal breaker, maybe, if they don't like these kind of individual puzzle building sorts of games. But this is this game was more fun than I expected it to be. Like I said, I thought, oh, I'm going to play a little kid's game. I'm playing it with grown-ups, but we're just trying it out to see what it's all like. But it wound up being a game that the grown-ups said, I think I need to play this again. Competitive for sure, strategic for sure, some replayability with these different pieces. We had a good time with Superstore 3000. So thanks so much to the folks at Asmodee for sending this game my way. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them, of course, in the comment section below the video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. Previous ones are already up there. Brains on Games is the X handle on the Facebook page and the Instagram feed, so we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.